Here are the Beach Boys.
Round, round, get around, I get around, yeah, get around, woo! I get around, round, round, I get around, get around, round, round, I get around, I'm making records real.
Hold it! Wait! Okay. Hey, you're the Beach Boys. Come on in. Would you mind wiping your feet first? Jamaica, ooh, I wanna take you to Bermuda, Bahamas. Come on, pretty mama. Key Largo, Montego, baby, wanna take you down to Cocoa. We'll get there fast and then we'll take it slow. That's where we want to go. Way down to Cocoa.
Mike and I were together when I got the text, and I had to tell him. Sorry. Without Brian Wilson, life would be a mistake. I mean, his music has been part of my DNA, and the beauty and the happiness and the joy and the optimism and the positivity that I've gotten from their music has made who I am. You know, one of my greatest honors is when someone comes up and says, "Oh, I got turned on to the Beach Boys because of you in Full House." It's like, oh, it's the greatest gift that I could have given back to them. Tomorrow will be our first show since Brian's gone. I don't know how we're gonna get through it. I know God only knows starts playing it, But we'll get through it, and we have to, for Brian. And I think obviously the rest of this summer, the rest of the live shows forever, I think, will be dedicated to Brian Wilson and will be a tribute to him.
Somebody big just died. Music icon and the creative force behind the Beach Boys. Brian Wilson is dead at 82 years old. And my friend Mike North is here to deliver his eulogy. Mike, how are you, my friend? It's been only a couple days.
I'll tell you what. I mean, between Sly and the Family Stone, his passing, and now the great Brian Wilson, and that hit when we were doing the other show for Sly Stone, or Sylvester Stone, if you will. And it just, now that it's had time to sink in, you don't realize the impact unless you were there. That's the only way I can put it from the beginning.
Sure.
And that's how I felt this week. Okay. And this one's a toughie. And John, I'll tell you what, if John Stamos wants to speak at my wake or my funeral, you want to see a grown man almost cry before he goes on the air?
Yeah.
You tell when somebody's acting, and you can tell when somebody's not. And that's how much the guy meant to people. And he, I know, was close to him, but the Beach Boys were close to everybody. So we're going to have fun talking about that tonight.
You sure are.
But my buddy Joe Mandel put another great show together, folks. The fun of it is putting it together.
That's
and
right.
he does a great job. And I'll tell you, because of the great job that he's able to do, we're able to employ him. He's tough at the negotiation table. There's no question about that. But I'm going to tell you, when it comes to doing what he does, boom, when you ask for Cumberland Chapels, the thing goes right up back. It doesn't even bother. Boom, there it goes. 8300 West Lawrence Avenue. Yeah, you're going to get laid out? Boom, Cumberland Chapels. You're going to make sure your personal family is taken care of? Cumberland Chapels. You go there, Chapels. Testimonials. And Joe is going to be changing these because you know what? Just like, you need indoor plumbing, you need a good mortician. Okay?
That's right.
And you need somebody that's going to lead your family into the best economic situation. Check them out. Been a staple forever at 8300 West Lawrence Avenue. That's Cumberland Chapel, 8300 West Lawrence Avenue, Norwich, Illinois. Plenty of parking, beautiful place inside, nice rotunda. And, check out Anthony Lupo and Martino's and everybody else. Now, Then you go over to Pennyville Station. You probably have a toast to the loved one that passed on. Or you have a rehearsal dinner for your wedding party, if you will. You get together with that significant other. You go out and you go maybe a little, going out looking for a significant other, if you will. And great drinks, great atmosphere. That's what you got at Pennyville Station, folks. Beautiful. You got Tony Antonacci, great ambiance. That's right. I rehearsed that. And you got two bald guys with and another guy with a bad toupee. No, just kidding. 112 Main Street, Park Ridge, Illinois. Yeah, the rumors aren't true, folks. This is real. Although it could be.
It's real.
It's
Hey,
real.
your buddy Jesse broke a trade today in Major League Baseball, Mike.
What was that? Because I missed that.
Andrew Vaughn got traded
to
the Brewers.
Well, next time, and you know what? And while we're going to eulogize somebody, Jesse is in there, so he's part of this show. He's in that commercial. I'm happy for him because I'm proud of everything he does. But I'm glad we got somebody good for Andrew Vaughn, and I go for Andrew Vaughn. He's going somewhere maybe where he can get a fresh start, because you can't. I don't care if you played college ball. The Sox are rushing everybody up. Boom.
Oh
boom.
yeah.
265 at bats in the minor leagues for Andrew Vaughn. Shame on them. I knew a scout who was a scout for the Royals. He did some for the Cubs, and he was a big supervisor for the Park District downtown. Art Stewart. He said, Mike, you got to get 500 to 700 at bats in the minor leagues and then think about bringing them up. And you just rush these people up, and I'm reading about it every day. So we'll see what happens. People that didn't get rushed up, and people that lived a significant amount of time. I talked about Sly Stone and Brian Wilson, 82. I mean, nobody abused. I don't believe we're going to ever have a show or a week of shows with two men who abused their bodies more than these two guys.
True.
Brian Wilson, to me, when things were going rough for me as a kid, and a strict father just like he did. He was tough on me. He was tough on my brother. There was some, alcohol involved sometimes and stuff like that. Never, but it was tough. And then you latched on to Brian Wilson, and you latched on to a genius in a blue collar type of way where guys like me could identify with him. I mean, the Beatles were great. They seemed above it all, and they were geniuses. But let me remind everybody what John Suntress said at John at Word Balloon. If you folks like to check him out on X or some of his shows, John Suntress, my buddy Shaky, said that Brian Wilson was the only one of just a very few that made the Beatles go, wow. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were freaked out about the Pet Sounds album, and I'll get to that in a little bit because I want to talk about the particulars because I respect the hell out of this guy. I respect the living hell out of him. I mean, that's just like I said, when things were going good at school, when things weren't going good at home, you could put on Wouldn't It Be Nice? You could put on California Girls. You could put on Help Me Rhonda. I remember
Good Vibrations.
Oh, Good Vibrations. You know what? I liked Good Vibrations. I liked Wouldn't It Be Nice, California Girl, some of the earlier stuff than that. But Good Vibrations is unmistakably great. Sloop John B. Surfer Girl, In My Room, Darlin'. I mean, I can go on and on and on. I know them all. Because their music was uplifting. It was uplifting, and his message, you could tell when he was singing about himself. So let's talk about Brian Wilson.
Let's do it.
June 20th, 1942, died just June 11th. Look at him. Favorite baseball player, Mickey Mantle, wanted to be Mickey Mantle. Played football with Hal Jardine. He had his brothers, Dennis, Carl. He had, of course, Bruce Johnston later on. Glenn Campbell ended up playing in a lot of sessions because of his mental problems. These guys ended up on Ed Sullivan. And Pet Sounds was one of these things that Paul McCartney, and I think we got a little bit of it here. Joe picked up what Paul McCartney said. If you don't mind, Joe, I'll read this one. If you don't
Sure.
mind, up. We're gonna put his quote up here. It says here, Brian had that mysterious sense of musical genius that made his song so achingly special. The notes he heard in his head and passed to us were simple and brilliant at the same time. I loved him and was privileged to be around his bright, shining light for a little while. How will we continue without Brian Wilson? God only knows. Thank you, Brian. Paul. And let's hear a little bit, if we can, Joe. I think we got a little bit of God Only Knows. Let's check it out, the greatest.
Now, this next song is a song that Paul McCartney told me that it was his favorite tune, but I don't know if it was or not. And God only knows what I'd be without you. God only knows what I'd be without you. God only knows what I'd be without. 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 God only knows. Thank you.
Awesome, Joe. They had 2 kids of their own. Carney was one of them, and they adopted 5. His brother's Dennis, who drowned, and really was supposed to be at Sharon Tate's house the night of the Manson murders, ladies and gentlemen, along with Steve McQueen.
Jeez.
And he ended up running behind. McQueen never made it there, said he was going to come, and both guys dodged a bullet, to put it to everybody bluntly, because we know what happened there.
Mhm.
And then they grew up in Hawthorne, California, back in the days when California was gorgeous. Tan girls, beautiful, beaches. There's Ed Sullivan. And the thing you love about the Beach Boys, they sang live on this show.
Yes, they did.
And to me, and they sang it without the lip singing that you see today. He had an average voice, no doubt. He was inspired by Phil Spector. He was inspired by I guess you're gonna say the 4th freshman. He did not have the voice that Carl, his brother, did. This is from, I never even saw this episode. It was proud to say. Kokomo was not one of my favorites, but it introduced the Beach Boys to a whole nother generation, including
It sure
Joe.
did.
And it made them popular. And then it turned the kids on that saw that. You know what they said? Well, you know what? If this song's good, let's check out the rest. And they ended up doing movies. The movie Shampoo, Wouldn't It Be Nice? One of the great songs ever put together. Now, here's what made him better than anybody. Even though, and by the way, Paul McCartney, that was his favorite song ever. And that's what made them write Sgt. Pepper's. That Sounds album was better. So that inspired them to go, wait a minute. These guys are great. So let's do this. So McCartney still said they never topped God Only Knows. And if you get a chance, folks, make sure you listen to the whole thing. And you'll like it. And what's wonderful is I'll never forget I had the chance, along with BB, to go see the Beach Boys. And it was at the stadium during the summer. I didn't go. Her girlfriend went with her because I had a softball game, and that was more important. Sorry. That's typical Chicago moron, number one. Okay. And this is when they were still rolling, like, early 80s. Okay.
Yeah.
They still had a lot of magic to them, and they've had some of the original band members, Al Jardine, like I said, Bruce Johnston, Mike Love. As you can tell, folks, I didn't have to. Joe knows. The other day for Sly, I had to look more into the Wikipedia and everything, but not for this guy. Believe
No
me,
research needed.
he went out of his mind. like Sly did. They used drugs. They abused the hell out of him. The whole band was on him. Cocaine was the main fare. He got hooked up with this psychiatrist, Dr. Landy, and that screwed him up. They had a fight over that's his good friend, along with Bob Dylan, by the way, who's another close friend. But they went through conservativeship with him. Who was going to take control of his finances? That's where he was. He ended up putting a sandbox in his front room. They tried to make it like a beach. I mean, the guy just went wacko. That's all. I guess they call it mental illness back in the day when we were growing up. You went wacko, okay? And that's what he did. And then he got in the wrong hands. And there's no doubt, Cliff, you're one of our favorites. You're absolutely right. You had a lot to the show. We appreciate it, right? As a car guy, and we appreciate anybody that tunes into this show because it's an originator, baby. I mean, we spend time with people. Look at Skeletor. I love that name. That's something to be. Yeah, that's heartwarming. Beach Boys, no doubt about Brian Wilson, guys. And Joe will put more of your stuff up if it warrants. If you want to get your comments in.
Oh, yeah.
Right there for you. Don't forget, we appreciate you, and so do our sponsors. But I'm going to tell you something. I didn't need a lot of rehearsal for this. I remember going to buy Barbara Ann, and it was done by, I think, the Pentones. And it's hard. The only guy that could do a cover of other people's music and be as good was Elvis Presley, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he could do My Way after Sinatra did it, okay, and My Way's great, you know, or he could do It's Impossible. He could do a lot of, but, you know, he was the greatest, in my opinion, no doubt about it. So I went through the Beatles, the Beach Boys, Motown, and Elvis Presley, all in one decade. And they were all unbelievable. The Beach Boys and Motown, with the Supremes and the Temptations, knocked it out. Of course, with Elvis, who had the great comeback special, and the Beatles, who ended up leaving in 1970. The Beach Boys, longevity means something in any business. And there's no doubt, excuse me, that they had it. Now, he also was married twice to Marilyn Ravel and to Melinda Ledbetter. Carney, Wendy, and 5 adopted, like I said, the siblings. What happened to him, as I looked down here, as I was reading, I decided to look at this, the formation of the Beach Boys. His father, Murray, abused him, freaked him out a little bit, but you know what? It didn't stop him. That's what you got to love about him. He had growing drug use. He started becoming overly religious. He did Pet Sounds, which is still considered one of the top 5 albums. Joe, I'm sure you've listened to some of the music.
Oh, yeah. Phenomenal.
Yeah. Some of the music's on commercials now. There's some of their music's on commercials. There he is. He looks like my father, for God's sake, back in the day. He did not look like a rock star. Let me tell you that, too.
No, he didn't.
You know, and he didn't look like he went to the beach much. He had reduced activity. He wasn't into it as much. He had lost his love, his flair. The drug use had brought him down. I mean, this stuff, folks, look, don't make me preach. I've said this to you. This is why the show's here. They don't want the whole story on TV. You didn't hear much. Here I am. I'm ready to go. We tell you all about it. That's when the Sun-Times was a thick newspaper, by the way.
That's right.
And the back headline wasn't look, it used to be the Cubs. It's WNBA now, but that's beside the point. Anyway, big money they made. Big move. He just reduced himself. I look at the title: hospitalizations and cocaine use. That's not good. That's It's not good in the title of Wikipedia. All
Yeah,
right.
you have a whole section on your cocaine use. Yeah.
Yeah, recluse period, 1973 to 1975. We all like to stay in the house, but he was going and he was taking it to another level. You know, it says here, listen to this. Reduce activity. Welcome to my world. I understand. Listen to this. His songwriting output declined substantially, as did his emotional state.
Oh, sure.
All right. Leading him to self-medicate with overconsumption of food, alcohol, and drugs. He was married over 25 years. Just say it. He was like 90% of the American guys. I just described it. Overconsumption of food, alcohol, and drugs. Hi, everybody. There's Dr. Landy. Wow. Yeah, I'd say let himself go. My God. But you cannot take away.
Oh, no.
It's like living around. Okay. Like I said, I'm blessed. The Beatles, I saw them break in. Elvis, saw them at the stadium. The Beach Boys, all these great groups, Motown. Is it like it was? No, and it never will be. But I mean, Bob Dylan, all these great artists that are starting to go, and he'll never be replaced. He's up there with Beethoven. I mean, as originators, as people that got it done, that changed the tone of music, that sold records, and that kept the band finally said enough. The band finally said enough with him. And I think there was a huge falling out. It wasn't they always had family issues. Their cousin Mike Love and him battled. Carl was always in the middle. Dennis had drowned. Okay. Just some tragedies in the family.
Yeah, very sad.
I mean, I never had Brian outliving them all. But then again, Keith Richards, we just had Sly, like I said, at 82. That did the same thing. They had lawsuits that hit him. Then he went solo. He started getting dementia. He was basically, I thought, done about 5 years ago. And I think he knew that too, but he played out the string. And I want to thank him. I can't tell you how many times when you make a set list when you're a kid, we didn't have the iPad. We could go to every song if we wanted to. We had to go buy the records. We had to put them down, put them on the thing. If you wanted to hear them again, you had to take the arm of the record and put it back on the thing again. You had to sit next to it. I mean, it was primitive now compared to where you could just say, "Give me the Beach Boys." Wouldn't it be nice? Boom, you got it on. You got your speaker hooked up to it and everything else. No, you had to go buy the record, or you had to wait for it to come on. And Beach Boy records in their heyday on WLS came on as much as the Beatles and some of the others at certain points. So they were a popular band. And Joe, I think by you putting that in, that we've talked about how bands and celebrities span the generations, and that's the way this was. Because like I said, I didn't know they were on that show, but I should have known since they had that close association with John Stamos.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, that's honestly, I knew of the Beach Boys before that, but Full House was during my peak childhood years.
Right.
So same thing kind of happened with me. I'm like, oh, the Beach Boys. I'm like, oh, I know this song. And then I'm like, oh, let me listen to the Beach Boys, and it kind of opened me up to them. So it was a genius marketing move by them because it brought them into a whole nother demographic.
Well, and that's great for them. And Brian Wilson, I think, checked out a long time ago, to be honest with you, where he was almost like not a functioning guy 24 hours. He always needed to buy somebody by him. I think he got better, but it just seemed like there was never any energy again. He did more drugs to kill 50 men probably, because he disappeared for years. And that's sort of sad. But what isn't sad is his legacy. Whatever he did didn't stop him from being one of the all-time greats.
The soundtrack will be there forever, Mike.
My God, you can just Somebody said a superstar is somebody that, in fact, Magic Johnson said, that can fill the seats on the road. Okay. If you want to spend a day just listening to certain groups, you can spend all day listening to Elvis, the Beatles. I think maybe Diana Ross and the Supremes. I'm talking about all-time greats, 40, Smokey Robinson, maybe in the Miracles, but for sure the Beach Boys. You could play hit after hit after hit after hit. And they just found the recipe. Phil Spector was a guy that they admired, or that Brian admired. They hated going corporate. Mental health became big because of him. He finally got away from Dr. Landy. He started getting deaf in one ear. His relationships were strained until recently. I'm glad they healed things up with his kids. Spiritually, yeah, we all find. There he is with Phil Spector. The hat could have gone. I would have told Brian, don't put the hat on. Stay home. And I would have told Phil Spector to adjust the toupee. If you want, yeah. Maybe tilt it to the right a little bit, Phil. I don't know what kind of shoes they had on, or there was a bulge in somebody's pants.
Look at the arms on that awful shirt.
Yeah. Well, no, Phil Spector.
Yeah.
If we were on, we would have done 3 parts on him. Believe me, he was as nutty as them all. It's good to see that Brian doesn't look high in that picture, by the way. Jesus. All right. So anyway, they did plenty of stuff. They did a great job. They're still going on. Just do me a favor. Do not. I was seeing that, with the song, blah, blah. Just don't put that picture in there. I'm telling you right now. Don't replace in the beginning of the show.
Oh, you want me to put this in the beginning?
No, you're not going to do that.
That would be hilarious. Good idea, Mike.
No, please. No, that's where I got to pull a rank. BB will not permit that. That wouldn't even be coming from me, Joe. We'd have to.
That's true.
We'd be put on suspension. No, we do respect the dead, no matter what.
We certainly do.
But that picture, as Joe will show you, in case he didn't flash it far enough. Hold on. That guy owned the National Football League franchise, ladies and gentlemen. That was me back in '94. Yeah, that was me back in 2000. Yeah. Hey,
we have a good time on this show, folks.
If we're going to throw rocks, they can bounce off the window and hit us back in the head. Are you kidding me? I ain't above the law. I've been through a little bit here and there. That's just the way it is. But that's
right.
From living. All I'm going to say is to Brian Wilson's family, God bless. And thank you on behalf of Joe Mandel, Cumberland Chapels, Pennyville Station, all you folks out there. We love you. Keep up the good work by just pass the word about us. Of course, we encourage you to support our sponsors when needed. Anyway, yes, of course. Anyway, folks, somebody big just died, and it was Brian Wilson. So long, everybody.